Live. Okay, we're live. 4 o'clock on the button. How you guys doing today?
Right.
Good.
Hey,
Very
hold on. I can't hear. Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. You guys hear me good?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Outstanding. Hey,
Yes.
so you guys know the rule. The more you participate, the more money you make. What's your go-to platform method to get your leads? Okay, we'll get to that question. Hey, Bill, I thought I knew your name. You're on Coffee with Angela. Yes, I am, Wida. I am. And I just say, I don't know who else is on EXP, but EXP is a virtual company, and I look at Friday morning 9:30 with Angela, Coffee with Angela, as my staff meeting or my weekly sales meeting.
Yeah.
4 brokers, Angela. But the key part is she sucked me in with a coffee. It's Coffee with Angela. If she said she talk about real estate business, I got a million Zooms. But Angela is Kofor is great. And if you're 9:30, bring a funny hat and your coffee and enjoy Friday mornings. Yes, I do know you from there. Thank you for saying hi.
Yeah. Hello.
Excellent. How you guys doing today?
Right.
This is great. Isn't it great to be in real estate? Come on.
Great time.
Yeah.
I mean, really, can I just share with you guys? For the last 2.5 weeks, my wife came to me about 2.5 weeks ago and said, let me sure we got this. There's no feedback here, is there?
Yeah.
Turn it off. And said she wanted to redo the tile in our house. So we've lived here for, I don't know, 15 years. And, we have a nice house. We're in Pico Robertson and been very blessed. And she said, you want to change the tile? Now, we had repainted the outside. Then we repainted the inside. Now, I don't know if you've ever painted a house when living in it. It is miserable. Everything's covered, you smell, whatever. So she came to me and said the tile. I'm thinking, well, the tile's in the kitchen and the bathrooms. How bad can it be? Sure, honey, go ahead and retile. What I didn't plan on was that the tiling included the bathroom right next to this wall where my office is. So guys, retiling doesn't just mean putting down new tile. It means, who knows the answer?
Tearing out.
Demo.
Your tile, and to do that, you use a what?
Sledgehammer.
Hammer, bang.
Hammer, whatever. And so what's it sound like all day long? Bang, bang. I didn't know that. I'm not really into the whole fixing up the house thing. And then the guy sets up, he needs a station area to like mix the cement with like a machine. I don't know what the hell the thing is. And then he needs a place to saw the tiles that need to be fixed. So and that of course was 5 feet from my desk over here in our driveway / backyard. So for 2.5 weeks, either I've had the concrete mixer thing going, I've had the sledgehammer going, I've had the tile being sawed. Yesterday we're done. It's been a tough 2.5 weeks. That's been my worst problem for 2.5 weeks, has been putting new tile in the house. I have to say that's not a bad problem to have, right? Great.
Not at all. It's a good problem.
Hey, we're in real estate. I am telling you guys now, look, I know not everybody's doing well. I'm sensitive to that fact. I say that this is a market that if you've had momentum has been great. If you are new to business, it could be very challenging for you. I'll say I've been in business since 1986. Without a question, this has been the best 6 months of my career in terms of building wealth, by far. And I think for anybody. For brand new people, there has never been an easier time to find money for a project, ever. Any deal with money in it can get financed today. And if you don't believe me, get a deal, bring it to me, and I'll help you get it financed. But I am telling you, if you don't have money, not a problem. You have credit, not a problem. You don't have you qualify for a hard money loan, probably not believable if it's a good deal, but we'll find someone to make that deal for you. It can be done in a way that was not true most of my career. Right? And I remember for years watching people do seminars on anybody get financed, anybody can do a deal. And being in the business, I would have said for most of my career, that's not quite true. I'm going to tell you for today, that's true. If there's a deal with money in it, it'll get financed. No question about it. So for those who are new in the business, there's never been a better time to start your career in this business. It's a time of transition. If you can get yourself dug in now, I'm not sure where it's headed. Is it going to go up, 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 up? Is it going to be down and a bunch of foreclosures? Is it going to be a sharp down and up? I don't know where it's going. But transitions are where we make money. I'm sorry, I'm going to turn my phone off. Transitions are where we make money in this business. If you're ready for the transition, and ready just means you have a plan, you're going to work hard on whatever that is. This is where you make money in the business right now. Those you're new, this is where you make money for the next 5-10 years is what you do right now, this week, this month, the end of this year. And I'm going to urge all of you just to push through whatever the struggle, whatever the frustration. You know, I had a listing that came like that to me, and the seller's giving us some pushback, and I'm part of somebody on my team, and she's kind of upset about the seller, this and that. And I said, look, you got enough listings. Let's not worry about it. It'll work itself out. He said, you're right. There's nothing to worry about right now. There should be more business than ever. If there's not, there is certainly more opportunity than ever in my career. So towards that, we do this call. This is a probate focus call. I organize this every week, not to make it a one-time session on to learn everything about probate. Though I will say to you, I am guest presenter to an event coming up where I will, in an hour, I think, cover probate top to bottom. And in that presentation, and it's very expensive. If you set up this week, it's $4.99 for an hour-long talk. And I'm going to give a talk called The 7 Ways to Get Business in Probate. I'm going to cover each one. And I'm being interviewed for an hour by Sam Sadat of Sam's Club. And if you're interested, I'm going to put the link here in the chat box. And you guys are welcome. I'm not getting, disclosure, I'm not getting anything out of it other than I get a chance to do it and share and meet people. I'm not getting a buck of the $5, or I'm not getting that money at all. And this has forced me to practice and get my game up. And I'll be recording some sessions. And I'll have some free sessions probably the next couple of weeks to share with you guys. Because that's where I come from, is from free content. But if you incline to spend $5 and want to hear an hour long, really top to bottom, what's it take, that's what we're going to cover. This call today is meant for people who are working in the business to pick up a tip today you can use, an idea, an introduction, a lead, a vendor that you can use today in your business as you're working on it. So towards that, I invited to share with you guys today as a guest in the beginning, a guy who I actually knew his father for a long time. His father's been a very good friend of my brother, just a very special man. And I met his son, Jeremy, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, I think. Something like that, yeah?
I think so.
Yeah, and met him 10, 15 years ago, and we've been in related industry in real estate. Jeremy is a mobile notary. And the reason why I wanted to bring him on today is because this is something that's come up for me recently. It used to be you could pick your own notary. And nowadays, the title companies want to use theirs. And so I thought it might be helpful to have somebody on to share with you what's it look like when your customer or you have to sign documents that need to be notarized. If you're not going to come into the escrow, a mobile notary. So I want to introduce somebody who does that for a living, Jeremy Steppen. So Jeremy, welcome to the call.
Thank you so much, Bill. It's very nice. So I am, as you said, a mobile notary. Escrow companies, title companies, and individual clients alone hire me to go out and find the clients, get them all signed up, make sure nothing is missed, dot all the I's, cross all the T's, make sure everything is done so all the transactions will in fact close smoothly and on time.
So your service is one where for people who don't want to or can't come into escrow, stay traveling, older, inconvenient, they can arrange with you to sign everything they might do in escrow, they can do with you, correct?
That is correct. I do travel. I go anywhere in the state of California, and my clients range anywhere between the ages of 18 and 98 years old. I recently had a 96-year-old fellow who unfortunately could not leave his residence due to COVID and was closing up a transaction and needed his escrow docs done. And I went to his residence all the way down into the deep of, where was he located? In San Bernardino County. So wherever the clients want, that's where I go.
So when somebody is signing a standard notary package for a real estate deal where a loan's involved, what do they need to have when you show up?
They need to have, well, in today's day and age, you have to have a mask, if and or gloves. Blue pen is preferable for all the banks.
Yeah.
And you need to have your license or identification.
So the customer has to have the license or identification.
Correct.
But you bring the blue pen.
I bring the blue pen. I bring masks if you want and gloves if you want. I got it all.
And the blue pen is, just so people know, when you make copies, you can't tell if it's a copy and original. When it's a blue pen, it's more obvious that it's blue. And that's gone back from time immemorial. With all the documents being done now, less and less have to be original. But fortunately, if Jeremy shows up, it'll be taken care of. So share with us now. Look, obviously, most cases are fairly simple. You make a phone call, you show up, everything is smooth. What's a common problem that you experience that people can avoid if they know ahead of time or plan ahead?
They know ahead of time and plan ahead of time. Leave enough time for an appointment. A very common occurrence is people will think, oh, I just spoke to my escrow officer or my title officer. They're sending somebody out. It's going to be all of 5 or 10 minutes. No, that's a very big misconception. Sometimes documents need to be revised. Things need to be read over. Make sure that documents have the right dates, the right name, spelling. There's no errors or anything like that. So we need usually about an hour and a half to 2 hours maximum for a signing.
For a standard conventional loan escrow, by showing your fingers, how much paperwork does a customer get to sign?
The most recent one I had was 155 pages.
And what percentage of the pages does the customer actually read?
None. Clients never read anything. They get a copy of the first 2 pages for them to hold on to glance at. But usually a client doesn't read anything. There's a lot of forms that you need to fill out, which takes about 20 minutes. That's in the beginning of the prep sheet. And then everybody just goes through and signs and initials almost every single page.
The initial form being the statement of identity, or what's the initial form?
The initial form is more of the breakdown from escrow.
The good faith estimate or the...
Correct.
Yeah. So a couple things, they're just to kind of share with anybody, if you're an agent or if you're an investor and you're setting this up. One thing I always try to do is be available during the notary call, right? I don't want to go there. They don't want me there. But I want to know when it is and be available for the phone call. And my experience is some customers, it's almost like your kid comes and grabs your hand and leaves. They just want to know you're there for them, right? And so you want to be on your phone, so either at least via text or phone call, you're able to answer your question. Jeremy, what percentage of the time are you doing a deal for somebody and the customer wants to call real estate agent, loan agent, somebody?
It's a minimum between 50 and 60% of the time. They want to call somebody and make sure that this is done correctly,
Right.
that their best interest is put forward and nothing is out of place.
And how often does that phone call to you seem fairly trivial, but it really just is about making a connection?
Can you repeat your question?
I mean, I guess it's a leading question, but how often is that phone call really more about just talking to the person than really getting a detailed answer?
It's
Like
90% of the time.
Right. So the point I'm trying to make is 90% of the time, they just want to know you're around and he's legitimate. And the way they know he's legitimate is you're on the phone and you answer a question and you move forward. And so my experience is you will solve a lot of heartache if you're around anytime the other party, whether that be your client or the other person. If you know they're signing, just put in your calendar and be available for that phone call or text in case that inevitable question comes up.
It just puts the clients at ease. That's all it is for.
Yeah. And my experience is they always ask a lot of questions at the beginning and they kind of get tired and the rest just moves quickly. Is that your experience?
Yes, it is. Very much.
Yeah. And I think as salespeople, we have to understand that sometimes when customers ask us questions, they're not really asking us that question. They're asking a question as a way to see how we interact with them and if they can trust us or like us. Right?
Correct.
And so with a notary, it's the exact same process. Wow, fantastic. What percentage of the time do you show up and for some reason the customer refuses to sign the papers?
I've only had that maybe 2 times in the last 11 years.
No, that's probably a reflection of you getting good business, right?
Yes.
I mean, if you're working with good people, they're going to give you real deals, and people give you some lousy deals. So good
Correct.
for you, and that's how you want to keep it. And so I think you said that the mistake is not leaving enough time. How long is the average time for an appointment, and how long would you schedule to cover, say, 90% or 95% of the occasions?
So I schedule a minimum of an hour and a half of a window. I also do a 45 minutes to an hour of prep on the documents that escrow or title sends me, so I can make sure that nothing is missed, and that way the clients don't have to waste the time finding out, do we sign here, do we initial here? It's all covered in advance.
And then again, for all of us who are agents or salespeople, if a customer is presented with a package where everything's done ahead of time, sign here, initial here, versus scrambling when you get there, which one gives you the confidence just to move forward and sign the contract, right?
Oh.
So this is a guy who this is what he does for a living, and he's telling you that preparation is critical. It probably saves him the extra 45 minutes. Probably saves you a lot of time at the appointment.
Oh, it's astronomically.
Yeah.
Saves so much time.
How often do you go more than an hour on the sign up?
So when you have firsts and seconds and refis and stuff like that, that gets a little hairy at times. And sometimes I've gone as long as 2.5 hours.
Okay. Okay. So again, I asked Jeremy to be on here really to kind of give some insight as to what it's like for when you have customers sign documents, when you sign documents, when people you're selling property to sign documents. This is a guy who does this on a regular basis at a pretty high level for some pretty good salespeople. So here's a chance to ask questions. You can raise your hand or put something in the chat box while he's here. Let's see if we have any questions for Jeremy. I know I asked a bunch. Anybody? No? Pretty simple? Anybody else? Go ahead. Somebody had a question? No?
I have one quick question. This is Nina.
Sure, Nina.
Where are you located again?
So I'm a traveling notary. I'm based out of Century City, but I go anywhere that within the borders of California.
Throughout the state. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. My farthest client that I've gone so far is I had an escrow company send me out to a city called Visalia, California. It's about 20 minutes shy of Fresno.
Okay.
Visalia is the raisin capital of the world.
Yes, it is.
I used to have an office in Visalia. Good. Any other questions? Again, this is the guy who's actually going to meet with clients, get them to sign documents, meet with the buyers, if you're flipping a property, he's meeting with the end buyers, getting stuff signed. This is where problems can be resolved quickly and efficiently or blow up and become a mess.
Also, a very big important feature that I bring that most people don't think about is I am an extension of you. So when I go and I'm presenting something for you, I am 100%, 110% on my best behavior to make sure that the client knows that I respect him and that I'm taking care of you on your position as well.
Right. Right.
Leaving them with a much better feeling, much nice and calm. That's why I'm called the stress-free notary.
Yeah. And that really quickly, Bill, I just wanted to make a quick comment that that's really good to know, because with probate, I've found that about 50% of the time, they're older adults who
Exactly.
they don't do electronics, so they don't do email.
Exactly.
So they need to do signatures that way. And then also, it's also helpful if you're doing virtual investing where you aren't there as the person who's doing the buying, what have you, that you need somebody to go and be the bird dog, if you will, as one version of a term, but to be there to do the work. So that's very good to know.
My pleasure.
Especially someone who knows the documents regarding probate. I mean, that's important, because that's keeping the confidence in something that is very hairy and emotional and sensitive at times.
Correct.
So again, it's interesting to me, and I don't want to call anybody out, but somebody texted me, well, I thought this was about probate. And I think what I would say is, when people ask me how to do a lot of business, it's a lot of little details, doing those details correct. You don't want to put all the time and effort into a transaction and watch it fall apart because your customer doesn't want to send the documents. I mean, it's so basic and fundamental. It's just, if you ever watch a professional baseball game, like the Dodgers in the World Series, every single game when they get the balls, I don't know if you guys even know this, there's a certain type of mud, and there are people assigned to take balls and rub them in the mud to get them to a certain consistency. Why? Because that's the way the ball players want the balls to feel, whatever that means or does. But they do it every single game the same way, the same mud. There's a certain mud from a certain place, I forget where, right? That people who are at a high level attempt to have everything controlled to go do it the same way over and over again. And so the challenge with notary is, as a listing agent, I don't really have control over the process, right? I can pick the title company, but it's not my lender, it's not my buyer's agent, oftentimes. But we want to try to control as much as we can. You want to play the odds as best you can. You want to recommend your service as much as you can. And
I have another question.
Yeah, go ahead, Nita.
Jeremy, do you have a website?
Yes, ma'am. It's stressfreenotary.com.
Stressfreenotary.com. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. And it's interesting that the most experienced probate agent on the call is the one who's asking for the information. I'm just saying,
Well, what's funny is that a friend of mine who's in one of my investing clubs. She's an investor too, but she's also works in lending, and she's a mobile notary too. But it's probate is unique. Like Nicole was saying, there's a lot of little bits of paperwork, and you need to know it. You just need to know how it works here. And so I'm looking to see if I can pick up another notary.
It'd be my pleasure to help you out.
Yeah, it would be a pleasure. She's nice. Good.
Thank you.
I only work for nice people.
Me too.
He hasn't worked for me yet, so. Okay. So, any other questions for Jeremy? Well, we'll kind of cover another more generic probate stuff here in a little bit, but I want to get him on, and also he's a busy guy, so I promised him we start him up front and get questions on, and then give him the chance to cut loose if he needs to. Can I ask a question, Mark? Yes, go ahead, Mark.
All right, go ahead. So real quickly, ballpark, what are we talking? Is it based on miles, or how do you charge? Like, so for example, if I've got a probate case and I need to use your services and it's maybe going to be the OC somewhere, is it on because I actually, many years ago, I was a courier, so I understand,
So I do also courier services, so I understand. The question in the OC, like in Irvine or say?
Yeah.
So if you had to go to Irvine, it'd be $150 travel, and usually it's $15 per signature notarized.
Okay.
But if you have a normal packet of the size, let's say, it's got 6 signatures that have to be notarized in a packet, let's say. And we'll settle out like at $250 or something like that for a packet.
So if it's in Anaheim or Fullerton or those areas, it's fairly close the same?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's what I was just curious about.
Anywhere in LA, I charge $50 for travel. You go to the Valley, it's $75. You go to Ventura County, it's $1.25, so on and so forth.
Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
And Mark's a pro, but for those of you who are newer, I would say, notary, you can take your documents to like a UPS store to notarize a document.
Correct.
This is really, he's used the term mobile notary, but really it's the document signing process that you're really paying for, right?
It's more like I'm a concierge.
Exactly. You're making $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 on a deal. You don't want them walking the UPS store and that guy going, wow, that commission seems kind of high. Really? I can do it for half that. You just even though you don't really have to pay a commission over that, you just don't want that conversation. And it's like Jeremy shows up and takes care of it. It's a whole different experience.
Well, the point
They're
with
almost
that
looking
too,
for a
Bill.
reason not to sign.
That is correct. There are those few pages you want to make sure clients do not sign on the wrong spot.
That's what I was going to say. It's valuable. It's worth $150 just to have somebody who knows, okay, sign here, make sure everything's signed, because I've had it before where I sent docs and they were, FedEx or mail back or however, and they didn't sign something.
Missing
and
two
caused a delay.
things, got a FedEx
Oh, yeah.
back. Oh yeah, you don't want that. Okay,
So
good.
I just want to recap. I just want to let you know that I also take the documents from the escrow or the title, bring them to the clients. We'll also return them, FedEx them, scan them back, whatever the client needs, to make sure they get the documents back, even photocopy things for people, to make sure everybody has what they need at the right junction in that point.
So again, that's a concierge mobile service. That's not just the notary.
Correct.
Are you approved with Pacific Coast Title currently yet?
I don't recognize that name.
Okay, I'll work on getting you approved so we have you accessible.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Nicole would be great.
Yeah, of
Nicole,
course.
my title and escrow company. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions for Jeremy on mobile notary, mobile sign up before we thank him? Anybody else? No? Well, again, I know the topic was a little on the edge, but I really appreciate, Jeremy, you sharing with us what the customer experience is like. Hopefully, if you guys are looking for professional service, give him a call. I put his info in the notes. It's also going to be on the video, but Jeremy, 818-389-0979.
Yes,
and
sir.
Stress-free, oops, I typoed. Stressfreenotary.com.
Yes, sir.
I'll take off the typo and make it look correct. Jeremy, thank you so much for your time today and sharing with us. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great one.
Great.
Bye now.
So again, I wanted that because I think it's important for those of us in the business to understand and have a competitive edge. And when we're dealing with our buyers, we want to use somebody who can give that quality service. But let's kind of turn to the probate topic specifically. Before I go into what I wanted to cover today, anybody have any questions regarding to probate, generating business, problems with files, anything like that? No? Okay. So I want to share, I am the guest speaker at Sam's Club, which is I guess, wholesaler investor club. Great for new people. And they asked me to be a guest, and he's doing an online event on November 4th. November 4th is a Wednesday at, what time is that? 7 o'clock, I think? 7 o'clock. They do some other stuff besides that, but I'll be speaking for an hour and really covering top to bottom the 7 ways to generate probate sales. And I'll go ahead and talk about that in just a second, but I wanted to put the link. If anybody's interested in attending, again, they have a pre-sale price of $5, and then I think after that goes to $7. And again, I'm not making any money on it. I'm just doing it as I was invited as a guest. I did get one question to start off with, which was, what do I do for my probate data? Where to get the leads from? Right, that was from Janet. What are your go-to platform and method to get your leads? So I'll share with you, Janet, my particular advantage in the market is data and understanding what's happening and targeting the right people. So I actually currently subscribe to 3 different services. I use Probate Money, which is Paul Horn's program. I took his certification, which is great, and I use their data for parts of what I do. I use foreclosuredata.com. They have probatedata.com as well, and I get their service. And I use a third one, Retran.net. They sell a lot of different types of data. And then I put together in kind of, each of them have certain fields, others are missing. Some miss certain files, and that way I get a full picture of what the market is. I also strongly recommend alltheleads.com, depending on where you are. If you're outside of the major counties in California or national, they cover every county in the country. They have amazing training. I'd say that's the best. They have the best training for free better than anybody else charges for. They do a weekly mastermind. It's on YouTube. And they also post it on their website. They do a monthly role play that's also on YouTube, alltheleads.com. Or if you go to YouTube and search All the Leads, no spaces, you'll find them. So I don't use their data currently. It's more expensive. Their data is more of a marketing system where the data is uploaded and they have great marketing pieces set up and you can easily subscribe to them and know that your mailers are going out. But I'm not using that currently because LA, we backed up because of the court. And so just to make sense economically. So just to be transparent, I'm not using their data today because I'm not marketing to petitioners today. I might start in a few months, but I'm letting the market kind of catch up. If you have a question on the data, if I didn't cover that, let me know or text in. George asked, I'm about to end my first winter. Other than weather, is when to change the way probate investing is done, the pace, lead availability. I'd say not really. One thing about real estate and the holidays is realtors and salespeople tend to slow down faster than the average person does, right? The average person has a job 9 to 5, works 50 weeks a year, gets some vacation time. And the holidays, they go to work. They might slow down at work, but they still go to work every day. Somehow realtors and real estate salespeople have the idea that once Halloween hits, they don't have to work again until after the president's birthday in February. And so there might be less deals. There's, when I look at a chart of business, there's about 70% of the business in December, January that there is in August. So if there's 100 closings in a market in August, it might be only 70 in December. But in my experience, there's only 50 real estate agents working, and only half of the investors still working. And so in my experience, if you're building your business, the time to really hunker down is December, January. My advantage, personally, I'm Jewish. So I'm an American, I celebrate Thanksgiving, but Christmas to me is a time to be friendly with people who are Christian, but I don't need to take off. I'm not going to church or anything like that. So for me, it's a good time to hunker down and get some work done. And I've always I always felt like at running a marathon, that's the uphill that people slow down on, and I pick up ahead of them. So I would say that December is a good time to work to generate some business. There might be a few less leads, but I assure you there'll be a lot less people working on them.
So and you'll be hitting the ground. You'll be hitting the ground running a lot better for January if you keep working through the holidays too.
Totally.
Yep.
Totally. So the 3 leads I use, again, to recap that, I got a text on that, is retran.net, retren.net, probatedata.com. The company's foreclosure data. They have a lot of data, different sources, but probate data. And the third one is probatemoney.com, which is Paul Horn's company. If you take his certification class, then they'll sell you that data as part of the marketing package. So I use those 3 and put them all in a database and compare and pick up which ones are missing, and that's what I do.
So that's my question, Bill. Because I use a couple of those. Retran is really great. I actually use them for foreclosures. I also have Paul Horn's. So when you're saying some stuff is missing, are you usually seeing that that's like across the board, that it's the same thing that might be missing from one of those lead services, or it's just on occasion there's just certain data isn't in there, so you're just cross-referencing to make sure you're getting everything you need?
Some of them miss certain files.
Some what?
Some miss certain files for some reason.
Huh.
And the ones they're missing are the ones I want. So, yeah, I really, couldn't explain it. I don't know any of those 3 companies well enough for them to be honest with me and tell me why that is. Back when the court was open, I would meet people there that were collecting the data for the services, and I could ask them questions, which companies were they selling it to? And then I noticed if they weren't there, I knew when they weren't working, or I knew where they were, or how often they worked. And part of it was I realized that, one of them would come in every 2 weeks. So I knew the data was going to not be, as new as it could have been by 2 weeks.
So there is a portion of data that's not in there, or some cases that just aren't in there. because they haven't captured them from whoever's pulling the leads.
Yeah, I mean, I've had cases where I know there's a sale and the file's not in. I don't want to name any one of them and embarrass them, but when I was using one and it wasn't in their system.
Yeah.
Then I subscribed to another one, it was there, and I called the first company and say, well, why did you miss this case? Well, I don't know why. and the part that bothered me was they didn't panic and say something's wrong. We're going to go back and check that date and see the log of who was supposed to pick it up. In my mind, if they're being scientific about it, you'd want to trace the mistake or problem.
Yeah.
And they only charge you so much for it, so you can only expect so much. So frankly, I'm a professional. I'm making a lot of money. An extra $99 for 2 extra services is not that big a deal. So
Right. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
And there's a lag time in the information because they're being sold this information and they're loading it after a certain time they're able to load it. So that's why it is good to ask each company what that time is in the delay from the recording to them actually posting to their site. That would be
Right.
good information before you spend money on one.
Right. So in the old days, I could meet somebody and she would tell me, I'm going to be here this week. And then I upload at the end of the week and I get paid. So I knew they weren't going to do anything to the end of the week. And then they had to process the data. It would take a couple of days past that. So, yeah, I've often thought back when I was doing expired listings, I ran a large company and we actually subscribed to 4 or 5 services and I actually ran comparisons and did a scientific study. And the problem is, they would change. So you run a study and then 3 months later run a study and the other one was better. So there's a certain amount of variance that, happens to human beings and you just can't do much about it. But what I would say is, look, if you're starting out, save some money, buy one data source. If you're a wholesaler or investor and you want to call LA, Orange, or San Bernardino, Riverside counties, let's talk together. If you're not an agent, I'd be glad to give you the data. I subscribe to one of the services that allows me to share it with other people. I'm glad to share it with you. If you're a real estate agent on my team, I'm glad to share it with you. And I can send it to you as soon as we get it or give you access to my login. I'm allowed to do that. So on one of the services. So, and that's why I get multiple. Some let me do one thing and some let me do something else. And I would just say this, I wouldn't worry about which one's better. I would pick one to get started and work the heck out of it to start with. Once you start making money and you start reinvesting, I think you can then be more particular. That's my advice. Good. Any questions on data sources?
Right.
No? Sean, good?
Oh, good. Those are good sources. I like them.
Cool. So I wanted to share with you guys today, the title of the talk I'm doing here is the 7 ways to get sales out of probate. And I think one of the challenges is if, for those who are realtors, you went and got certified, they only teach one way. And investors, wholesalers, I don't know what they teach you as far as probate goes. But I'm going to tell you there's 7 different ways that you can get a probate sale. I'm not going to go into each one in depth right now, but I just want you to understand there's 7. And one of the concepts I started with is I wanted to use at least 2. And my thinking was kind of like if you want to chop a tree down. Now, I'll be honest with you. I've never chopped down a tree. I've just watched some movies. But if you ever noticed we chop a tree down, they chop one side and then they chop the other and it goes over, right? There used to be on TV, Wide World of Sports, and they have competition chopping trees down. But I noticed they would always chop one side and then another. And I think that the reason why 2 or more work is if you can attack the same data from 2 angles, kind of like the military, they fly bombs in and then they have planes with bombs and then the ships shoot bombs and then they send guys in to clean up with tanks and then guys walk on the land. You hit the same area from 4 or 5 different angles. And I think in probate, it gives you an opportunity that way as well. So I want to cover with you the 7 ways. If you know of any more, let me know. The 7 I have are: 1 is pre-probate. Pre-probate is there people that market to people who experience deaths in their families. And you can buy data of obituaries and you can buy data and cross-reference that to homeowners and figure out who died that owns a house. There are people that do that. Most commonly male. right? So that's pre-probate. Another pre-probate is part of your driving for dollars or ugly homes concept, because you'll see a house and it's an ugly house. It's overgrown, looks abandoned. You're driving around, you notice it. You research it to find out the neighbor tells you the person died. And either if you're doing probate, you can check, or if you're not doing probate, call me, I'll look it up for you. If you give me a property address, I can look up and tell you if a probate's been filed or not. And then oftentimes investors that do that, wholesalers that do that, approach the family and find out, they don't want to file probate because it's too much work. They're too busy. They don't have the money. They think they need a lot of money, and we can work something out to help them out. So that's pre-probate, number one. Number two, probate filing leads marketing to the petitioner. This is the most common one. If you take Paul Horn's class, MTI's class, all the leads, primarily what you're doing is phone calling or texting or voicemail dropping or mailing to the person that filed the petition. Sometimes the petitioner is the attorney. Sometimes the petitioner is one of the heirs and they're doing it themselves. Sometimes the petitioner is a petitioner and there's an attorney representing them. And there's different ways to market to them. Most commonly is calling them on the phone. Third is petition filings to attorneys. Obviously, just cold calling attorneys. They have case. They had cases. And calling them, maybe not for that one file, but for their future files. There's two ways in the MLS. Number 4 and 5 are on the MLS. Number 4 is what I would call full authority. Now, for those who are buyer's agents primarily, you have buyers, you're looking for properties, and you know how hard it is to find in this market a property and get a buyer and make an offer, get accepted, and get them sold. If you're working in that space, who works in that space? Just real quick. Anybody else? Yeah. So it's challenging, right? To find properties. So one thing you'll find is that many realtors are trained to avoid probate at all. I would do the opposite. If everybody else is avoiding it, to me, that's where I would go. And so if I was a buyer's agent in a certain geography, I would, in my MLS, create a search of probate properties that don't require court confirmation. And just make sure I checked every one of those. Just make sure I took a second look at each one of those, because they're more likely to fall through the cracks. Number 5 is limited authority or needing court approval. Now there, again, many agents avoid them. There's 2 strategies in those. One is get in early. So if you're working in an area, you're working the South Bay, you're working Inglewood, you're working West LA, and you track every MLS listing that needs court approval. When they pop up, you want to look at it, understand its value, see if you have a buyer for it, and try to be first in line. Because the estate is anxious to get it into escrow. They might have months to wait before they can close escrow. They want to get locked up. And that gives you, if you're there first, a chance to try to tie the property up. Again, there's a lot of details to all this. I just want to give you the list and the breadth of what's available. Number 6 is court confirmation sales. This is one of the areas that I work. I would say this is my specialty, that I track every single sale in LA County. I don't currently in Orange or other counties. I focus in LA County, but I track every sale in LA. I look for what I think are good deals and try to marry investors up to them. And then 7 is courthouse farming. Hard to do here in LA with our court closed. I suspect there's more people in other counties and around the country. I would suspect it's much more closer to normal. This is what I used to do daily. I used to go to court every day, and I would go in the courtrooms. I'd be in the hallways. I'd go to the court, to the probate research room. I think this is a great way to build business and learn about it. But again, those are the 7 different ways to generate business from probate. Obviously, referrals of past clients and referrals that come to you is another way as well. But what are the, anybody have any other ways that you can get business or probate that I haven't mentioned? No, I don't think
people
really.
You know in your network. I can't stress that enough. That it's one thing, yes, you have to have the, sorry, somebody's trying to text me. Sorry, excuse me. It's one thing to have the Oh my gosh, people, leave me alone. That's more people giving me business. It's one thing to get the leads from those lead sources, and it's another thing when you're given a lead from somebody you know. And here's why. Converting that lead is going to be a heck of a lot easier for you if it's somebody you know, because someone you know, it may not meaning that the person you know is the PR, maybe they are, but they know somebody who knows somebody. The 6 degrees of separation. They trust you. You have a relationship already. And what they're doing is they're saying, I'm going to refer you to this person because for this person, I'm referring them my relationship with you. And when you have that behind you, you're going to have a much easier time converting that lead than somebody you don't even know that you have to nurture. You still have to nurture them, but again, it's, you're walking in with them being more receptive. So.
Excellent. Yeah. I mean, I think it's funny. I left that off because I always tell people the fast way to get a probate sale is through your current database, right? Once you're certified, and I train a system where you use living trusts as a topic to talk to all your past clients, whether they have one or not. And that's a key system that will help you get started in the business. So thank you, Nita, for reminding me of that. And I just add that to my notes. My presentation will be different, Nita, thanks to you. Thank you so much.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'd love to see your presentation. Is that what you're doing at Sam's?
I am, yes. But I'm also going to record each segment separately. And so I'm using this as kind of the tool to push me to do that.
Can I add one with Bill?
That was a lot of value.
Mark, go ahead. Yes.
When I really worked probate in the past in Houston, what I really focused on with these probate leads was finding a relationship with a realtor that specialized in probate that I could bring to, and not only the realtor as an investor relationship, but also there's companies that specialize in estate sales. They specialize in like cleaning out a house. There's also companies, well, like you said, like the attorneys. and again, oftentimes people don't know who to go to. They're lost. The executors, things like that. They don't know, well, what should I do? What are my options? And I say, well, I'm a one-stop shop. So that's the thing I found. And this was like probably 10 or more years ago when I did that for a while, focusing on that, is I was really focused more on being a service provider that, this is so overwhelming. And I actually did a series of letters that, basically it'd be about helping people who are overwhelmed in their time of grief and their time of loss. And so there's also situations where even funeral home directors. So everybody that's in the probate space that would be a referral source in some capacity, I built that network of relationships. And the key was, I said, here's how it works, Bill. I understand you're a smart guy. I'm going to refer to you, but I'm going to be looking for you to refer to me. And the people who are referring back, they're going to get more. Because that's the other thing. You got some people out there, they'll take, but they're not like you, Bill, as you know. They take, but they don't give. And you're a giver. And so that's a key part of this in my experience is build that network of relationship, because I might have 2 attorneys. And again, also there's the competence level too. But I want to make sure it's people where when I refer them, it's going to get back to me as a good experience for people too. But also that they're thinking about me and not just, hey, Charlie, I sent you that. I haven't had anything from you in 3 months. Oh, I forgot I sent it to this other guy. Well, sorry, Charlie.
It's funny you say that because I literally have this call because I get referrals from investors and wholesalers from this call. I didn't even think to add that to my list. So thank you. You guys are helping me write my presentation here. So instead of 7 ways, now it's 12 ways to find business. Thank you so much.
That's even better. That's great.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. I owe you all. Thank you for that.
And I just want to add to what Mark said about that. That's exactly how my business is built and being built. It's full service. It's literally coming from all of the resources that I can provide as support, even before they have to list.
Yeah.
Because that leads them to listing. So that's just, it goes beyond just, oh yeah, I want to get the deal. You really have to, and that's the reality of it. And here it is. People can read through you. They just dealt with the loss of a family member, or they're dealing with the nightmare of probate. And I say nightmare because literally that's what oftentimes PRs are dealing with, is all of the junk they got to do. They got a lot on their plate. And sometimes you just have to be silent and listen to them. So there's a lot of little things that they end up needing. My current case right now, they sat down with, it's a big case. They sat down with the co-administrator and another heir, and they made a laundry list of things and started assigning who's doing what. And when I said, so tell me about your list, and I said, did you put that on there? She said, oh, I forgot about that. You want this reason? I'll send that to you. There were things she didn't even remember she needed that I told her, here you go. So, you know, that's a huge piece. And thank you for mentioning that, Mark. And then one last thing, there's a question about being a realtor and getting certified from Neil. I leverage that. I think that that helps to build trust and credibility. And there are a few sources. Bill, you mentioned MTI Education. That's Mike Torres. That's a really good one. There's also the California Association of Realtors has a certification course. And then Kevin Sales has a course as well from Probate Real Estate Sales 101. So
Yeah, and I would add another one. The one I've done those. I also did alltheleads.com. This is what they call mastery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's 3 days, about 5 hours each day, a little more intense. But I think really drilled into me what you're talking about, Nina, about being full service. And I think that understanding that in this space, you have to solve their problem. The problem is not just selling the house. The problem is cleaning the house, selling stuff. Sometimes they have fine collectibles they want to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
All done in a sensitive way, all done as a part of the team.
Sometimes I have to tense.
So
that's another thing. That's why they keep talking to me, because they know I deal with multifamily,
right.
And they've got 3 properties in this mug that have tenants in them, and they're all seniors. So it's just like, you know, there's these little things that you need to do to help them out.
Yeah.
So yeah, and certification, I think, you know, to attorneys is very important. I think it's important to your self-confidence, but don't think that you have a certification and get business. It's kind of like a driver's license. You still got to buy a car, get insurance, and pay attention and not crash the car. So same thing.
And drive.
George, George, asked a question. George, are you a realtor or are you an investor or wholesaler? Oh, George Abraham. To answer, that's you asked the question. So George, to answer your question, how do you find properties that don't require court confirmation? Answer, in the MLS, there are fields that we can sort for that. And you want to work with an agent who can maybe create a search for you, then forward you those results. So, you know, for a buyer, you know, a buyer might say to me, I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in Hermosa Beach between $500,000 and $1 million or something. I can create a search for that. For somebody like you as an investor, I can say, I want other parameters, what county or price range, and I want those that are probate and those that either do or don't require court confirmation, and then you get those sent automatically from the service. So if you're interested, George, we talk offline, I'd be glad to set that for you.
Thank you.
Good. Any other questions? So again, I'm speaking on Wednesday, November 4th. Love to have you guys part of that. I also am, thanks to you guys, I'm going to record, I guess, a little more than I thought I was going to, but thank you for your help. And so my goal will be to bring that content back to you guys down the road. Any other questions before we finish up here? We got about another 5 minutes or 3 minutes. Nicole, thank you for your contact. Nicole is with Pacific Coast Title. And so if you have questions regarding public records, data, she can help you there or point you in the right direction as well in those areas.
Absolutely. And we have a Title Tuesday each Tuesday at 1:00 p.m. It's good to come, whether you're an investor and or an agent, because there's tools for real estate targets, but there's also really great guest speakers for trusts, and there's good resources for investors, and it just keeps you creative and, you know, hungry.
Are these live meetings in person now?
They're Zooms. They're all Zooms for now. Mm-hmm.
So anybody could be anywhere and join in. So we
Absolutely.
contact you. How do we find out the details of that Zoom?
Take a snapshot of my contact, shoot an email so I have your contact, and then we'll
Good.
talk about whatever on my laundry list of what I can do, and that'll be one of the offerings.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Fantastic. There you go. So if you're on the chat box here, I'll put her info in the chat box again as well.
Thank you, Bill.
Sure. Glad to help. And I'll put it in the YouTube chat box as well.
And I'm actually going to just tap it real quick. I'm going to give you my website, which is basically a title website. And I'm only giving it to you because there's resources there for blank forms. There's just agent resources. There's also investor resources to just educate yourselves. Guides, there's guides like buyer seller guides, but also how to read documents. So I'm just going to give you this as a resource on the chat as well. I'm typing it again, so it should be there in a sec. That's a great resource. That's just basically a title website for you to be able to do anything you need to and research everything regarding title and escrow.
Great. Okay, guys. So again, we do our real estate investment call on Tuesday at 3. And then we do this again weekly at 4 o'clock. If you want, I didn't, I have, where is that? If you want, I have a sheet with a bunch of resources on it, different probate related resources, some of what you talked about here in the call, some of that we talked about in other weeks. What I call good stuff. Text the word, no space, good stuff to 213-460-2577. Again, area code 213-460-2577. Text the word, no space, good stuff, and you'll get a copy of that sent to you. And I keep updating that as I get more good stuff. So thank you all for being on the call today, making it a powerful call. I really appreciate your support. You guys really helped me build my business, and I'm available to help you. If you have any questions, call me, text me, email me. I am not too busy to help you out. I might have to call you back in an hour or so, but feel free to reach out if I can help in any way, okay?
Yeah, Bill, what was that text number again?
Sure. It is 213-460-2577. And the words are good stuff with no space. And
213-460-2577.
Exactly. And you should automatically get back a text that will have some good stuff attached to it.
What was the last 4 digits? I'm so sorry, you guys.
2577.
Thank you. Sorry, Bill. Thanks
No
all.
problem. It's funny. I see a bunch of you guys hitting that. So good. So enjoy that. Thank you. Call, text, email if I can help in any way. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Hey.
Bye-bye.